Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, talking fishing. If it's facts about fishing that you want to know, then tune in, folks, cause this is the show. We'll show you all the right bait to use, so sit right back, you got nothing to lose. Doesn't really matter if it's trout or carp, flathead, marlin or a gummy shark. Listen to the guys and you can't go wrong. They'll be talking about fishing till the cows come home. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Welcome everyone to Talking Fishing, a big show coming your way tonight. We are joined in the studio by a special guest from Fisheries Victoria. We're going to be talking Barra in Hazelwood, fishing Albert Park Lake. We take a look at a brand new release of fishing reels by Shimano, all that and plenty more. So let's get into it with a big welcome to the man who travels by kayak, Adam Ring. Welcome, Ads.
Thanks, Dave. I just had a quick peek at the run sheet and we're going to run out of time.
Oh,
what a show.
Big. I know, it's big. Trelly's not here, we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's also a very big welcome to our special guest tonight. Anthony Forster is the manager of freshwater fisheries for Fisheries Victoria. He's no stranger to talking fishing. Welcome back, Anthony.
Thanks, David. Great to be here.
Bit of a regular every year you get to do.
I think it's my third time.
Is it? There you go.
I think so.
Done more shows than Trelly.
And I'm counting.
This year, anyway. The old Trelly, I tell you what, he's off at Guns N' Roses tonight at the MCG. He'll be bopping away. He said he's going to send us some live pics, so we'll see if we can hold the phone up and show you what he's up to. But although they might need to be edited because God knows what Trelly gets up to at the Guns N' Roses concert. But boys, bit of cooler weather's hit us, hasn't it?
Bit of an unpleasant change, as I say. The weather on the weekends has gone back to what we saw before Christmas, but short-lived. Let's just hopefully, I know the weekend coming, it's not looking great, but let it get out of the way and give us a good roll into Easter.
Exactly. I was at the Bruce Springsteen concert on Saturday night, and lucky I took the spray jacket because we copped a couple of big showers, I tell you, and just had to put the spray jacket on. But what a great concert!
Well, we know it was a great concert because we got a few photos and we've taken the chance to just run a little slideshow. So Kev, just hit us with a bit of David Kramer at Bruce Springsteen. This is about the 607th time that Dave's seen Bruce, and as good as the first time you ever saw him. I tell you what, he still rocks out just as hard, I must say.
I first saw him 1984.
Do you know how old I was in '84? Oh, look at that! Just ran into a few people you know down there.
Would you believe? I'm going to tell a story about this. Let's just see what you blokes have got lined up, I tell you. Someone's been hacking into my photos.
Just before you launch in though, if only Bruce knew the dedication he has in some of his fans like you, Dave. Now, we found another couple of photos which I know you had a little bit of a warm-up at the Christmas party last year. So David Kramerstein hit the stand and he was all over the tables. He had guitars, he had brooms, he had whatever he could find. He was just having a good old time. I now know where Bruce learnt his moves, Dave.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, thanks for that. Gee, someone has been hacking into my photos, I tell you what. But just a very quick, funny story before we go to Catch of the Week is that I'm at Bruce Springsteen. I didn't even know, but I'm 10 foot away from the minister, Jarla Pulford, and she's sitting next to a bloke. I thought it was probably her husband or something like that. And it later turned. So I'm walking past. Oh, Kramer, you know, we have to do all the photos and all that. And Jarla tells me later on. She said, I sit next to this bloke at the concert, and he looks at her and he goes, "You're the chick off talking fishing." That's how you describe the Minister for Fisheries. You're the chick off talking fishing.
There you go.
10 minutes later, I walk past. I tell you what, it's a small world. But anyway, boys, let's have a look at what's being caught by the people at home. It's time for Catch of the Week.
Catch of the Week, brought to you by Shimano, providing reliable, trustworthy, quality fishing gear for your enjoyment.
And let's get into it straight away because there's some cracker fish.
Yeah,
and there's a couple of little ones getting around too. The nice pinky population is certainly on fire. Let's have a look at the first one, which is a pinky snapper. Ethan Loncarrick, I think is the way to pronounce Ethan's last name. And a lovely little pinky off Port Arlington. But people are saying when they're whiting fishing this time of year, the pinkies are prolific, aren't they? It's just a great time of year for them.
And perfect for the kids because they'll school up, nice big numbers. You can generally catch quite a few if you sound over them. And if you're not one of the kids, if you want to catch your first fish on a soft plastic, if you want to jig for them, now's the time because these small pinkies, perfect pan size. will school up. You can catch them quite easily, and it's loads of fun.
Yeah. The other thing is, good on whiting gear, because a lot of people are getting them
Exactly
as a
right.
bycatch on whiting gear, so they pull like a steam train.
Exactly
and
right.
Even if they're only 15 centimetres, oh
Call it for a
goddamn
three
pinky.
kegger
But
at a time.
anyway, all right, let's head down to Real now. And young Alex McIntosh. Alex actually wrote to us himself on the email and said, I caught my first gummy, and it's a great fish, and he actually released that gummy shark. So
Good on you, Alex.
What a great little gummy, and plenty of gummies around at the moment,
There
isn't
is,
there?
Probably
really
sneaking under the radar a little bit. I know we spoke about it last week, but heaps of them around. Again, great for the kids. You just saw Alex there knock over his first gummy shark. That's something he'll never forget.
Yeah. Let's head down to the Mornington Peninsula. Portsea is just on fire at the moment for plenty of species, but amongst them, some very big flathead, and Amber Dinnington got a lovely 2 kilo flathead off Portsea.
We're seeing more big flathead than we've seen in a long, long time.
I reckon.
We seem to be getting photos sent to us, Dave, of these big flathead at least every week, but 100% at least every fortnight. There seems to be that population of flathead that we all grew up catching in the hire boats out of Morty, and they're coming back.
Yeah.
And it's great to see.
Been a lot of discussion at fisheries, hasn't there, about flathead, like particularly the sand flathead.
The sand flathead not doing so well.
No, but some of these big yank and even rock flathead
the
seem to be doing pretty good,
And offshore they seem to be going really well.
Yeah. So anyway, bit of a mystery on the old sand. Next three are all about the sharks, because there's some fantastic sharks this time of year, as it is, all the time at this time of year. Something that they can sometimes be quite prolific in Western Port is the old hammerhead shark. Geez, they look different.
No.
Ben Swift got a beauty, 10 metres of water off the Quail Bank.
A lot of our viewers probably wouldn't even know there'd be hammerhead sharks in Western Port, but we do hear of them every year. Whether they come through on some sort of spawn or some sort of migratory run, I don't know if any study has been done. You may be able to correct me
I
there.
don't know too much about them, no.
No, but aren't they an unusual looking fish?
Oh, yeah. They're one of the most unusual looking fish in the sea, aren't they?
Prehistoric, really.
Yeah.
And then they're so dogged when you hook them. They just stay down deep and take forever.
So cool.
But that was a cracker. Dave Jacobson, he headed down to Port Welshpool with the Keysborough Angling Club. Thank you very much to Helen Semester for sending in the photos, but this is a cracker, 23.5 kgs.
That's a big gumbo.
That is a big gumbo.
That's unreal.
Yeah, that's a really good Port
fantastic.
Welshpool.
Yeah.
Great photo too, to actually see how big these things are. You hear 20 kilo gummy thrown around a little bit when a few people start getting into them, but that's a big fish.
That would have gone hard, that fish.
Yeah. And they had a pretty good trip down there too, from all reports that Helen sent through. It's a great club, and they do get out and about.
Yeah.
And good to see them fishing different places, and Port Welshpool was one of them last week, so they've done very well. Another species of shark that is making, a bit of a showing this time of year. There's been quite a few of them around, and this one's nothing to be sneezed at. 93 kilos of mako shark. Trent Dickinson headed out off Cape Woolamai. And that's just a classic mako for this time of year around that area, isn't it?
There's such a great backstory to this fish, because though they had all the gear, rod and reel department, they sort of forgot to take the big gaff with them. They got that fish, all 93 kilos of it, in the boat on a fixed head gaff.
No way.
That is unbelievable, because if anyone's seen any sort of shark, let alone a mako at the side of the boat, they go absolutely ballistic. And then you go and stick a gaff in it, and suddenly it wakes up again.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it, but my hat goes off to your Trenton crew, because that's an unbelievable capture.
Yeah. Good to see some makos around, isn't it? Last year was a bit quiet, year before was a bit quiet, I'm not even sure. Is the shark comp still going off real?
I don't know.
Too much
I
about it.
I
know the numbers were dwindling because not too many were getting caught. But maybe there's a bit of a comeback on the makos, and certainly I've heard of a few out of Port Phillip Heads as well.
That's right. Well, you think with so much food now, the kingies, that'd bring in sharks. The arrow squid, from what I've seen, have been a little bit patchy, but the slimy mackerel are there in great numbers. There's plenty of bait.
Yeah. If you'd like to send in a pic of your catch of the week, this is what you have to do.
If you want to be like me and have your photo on TV, email your fishing pic to info@ifish.com.au.
And coming up on Talking Fishing, product of the week, and we talk about barramundi and Hazelwood right after this.
Talking fishing.
We know what you'd rather be doing.
We know what you've really got in mind.
We know you'd rather be out fishing. And today's the day you're gonna wet a line. 'Cause every day's a good day.
Stop wishing.
Every day's a chance
of the week, brought to you by Tackle World.
Talking fishing.
Welcome back to Talking Fishing, and the boys at Shimano have been at it again. We've just seen the new season's reels for their February release. Shimano now doing 2 new product releases a year, and they've introduced us now to the Shimano Ultegra. A mid-range reel packed full of features, and everything about this reel is designed to give you the maximum amount of performance without spending insane amounts of money. Hagani, you've heard us bang on about it heaps over the last few seasons, but it is such a big deal. Hagani gears, Hagani body, it allows you to strengthen that reel without adding weight, but also giving you durability. You can wind that thing as many times as you want and you are not going to wear away at those gears. Hagani has been something that's been massive amongst the Shimano stable, Dave, and they've now continued to incorporate it into their mid-style reel.
Yeah, just to remind people, Hagani, it's the actual process of making the gear where it's cold pressed at room temperature, so there's no heating, there's no machining. This is a bit of metal that is cold pressed into shape to get micron precision. So it's absolutely to the micron. The strength, the mechanical properties of the metal is superb to any other process. So just absolutely fantastic. The Hagani gearing, as smooth as a baby's bottom adds.
That's right, and it continues to stay smooth. So all the usual sizes. That was a 1000 I was just looking at there. We've got the 2500, which is probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular reel size for us here in Victoria. Hagani, they're also starting to incorporate that into the body structure of the reel too. Basically, that means that body doesn't flex as much as what it does without Hagani when the reel's under load. And again, it just takes the pressure off the gears and off the internals to give you a longer lasting smooth reel. So that's the 2500. They also 3000, which has been one, I guess, relatively new in the sizing spectrum to Shimano in Australia.
And becoming more popular.
Exactly, very quickly becoming one of the more popular models. The size of a 2500 with a little bit deeper spool, allowing you to fish that next size class. That's almost starting to become a soft plastics fisherman choice for snapper, because the rods are getting lighter. They can now fish small reels, 10 to 15 pound braid, get plenty of line, and it allows you to tackle those bigger fish and still be able to have more fun. So, you know, you could be flicking around for the pinkies, not be overdone. Old mate, big 3 to 4 kilos worth of snapper decides he wants to munch on your plastic. You can handle him, no worries with this. Now, Dave, drag capacity, we get asked about this so much in reels. What's its max drags? What's its max drag?
Well, the 2.5 and 3000, 9 kilos of drag.
That is more drag than you'll ever need in a little reel. Yeah. And it's cool because it allows you to tackle those bigger fish.
They weigh, both of them weigh 240 grams, and the 3000 holds obviously a bit more line, but the 3000 to me is now my favourite size reel for heading into places like Lake Tyers on the big dusky flathead. Something like that pulls 9 kilos of drag on a big flathead, you know, up to 1 metre long, is just the perfect size because it's not too heavy in your hand. That is a real good budget reel compared to, you know, if you want to go that little bit under, say, a Stratic or a Stratic CI4. That's right. This is the perfect budget, top quality, tough reel.
That's right. Moving on to the 4000 size, here's now where we start talking about our traditional snapper sizes for soft plastics before we saw the introduction of the 3000. Another thing incorporated into these reels, which Shimano have just started to roll out, is called Core Protect. Basically, there is an oil within that reel in all the main parts where salt water can get in, and that oil helps repel anything, shielding the inside gears, shielding your roller bearing, shielding the clutch, the anti-reverse clutch. It just helps keep salt water out. We fish in very harsh conditions. Salt water, sun, wind, the whole lot. That just helps keep everything out. So that's the 4000. They also make it in a 5000, which again, like the 3000, is fairly new but becoming very popular. Bait fishermen for snapper are now able to fish their graphite rods very light with small reels with big line capacity. You can still run a 12 to 15 pound mono on that reel and get more than enough line to tackle any snapper that you're going to come across in Port Phillip Bay, but it also doubles as a light kingfish reel. Speaking of soft plastics on kingfish, that is going to help a little bit because light massive drag, which we spoke about. The other thing which these reels do, this is the base model reel at which the handle actually winds directly into the body of the reel. That helps, again, no more wearing, no more tearing. It sits in there snug, connects directly into the reel, and no play. You can wind that 100 times, catch 100 fish, and you'll never get play through the handle. It's all of these small things which contribute and make these some of the most affordable and greatest reels on the market. So they're the reels. I'll very quickly scoot through the last couple because I know we're running out of time.
11 kilos of drag too.
11 kilos of drag on the 5000.
On the 4 and the 5.
Couple of rods to help match these, keeping price point in mind. The Shimano Revolution Inshore for your lighter options. This one here is a 6'6" two-piece ultralight. That's for your brim and your whiting, your general run-of-the-mill Gippsland flatty. Put a 1000 or a 2500 on that, and it's a combo to die for. On the heavier market, I've just grabbed a Shimano Mikuro, one of their newer rods in the market. Nano resin, ultralight but super strong. This is a heavy model. This is an 8 kilo rod. So that's your light Kingfish Plastics rod. That's your Port Phillip Bay Snapper Fishing bait rod. Quite a long butt section, so it will sit in the rod holders, but also light enough and comfortable enough to throw lures, small poppers, that sort of thing. So there's lots to choose from. Shimano keep reinventing the wheel every single time we think that it's been done and dusted. They just come up with something else. They take that latest and greatest technology and they jam-pack them into these mid-range reels so that you get the best performance without having to spend $1,000 per reel. It's just something they're the masters at.
Absolutely. There you go. Product of the week, something new from Shimano. Always coming out with something new. It's fantastic. All right, let's change the subject, boys. And Anthony, it's up and running. Barramundi and Hazelwood.
It is.
It's been, and I'm just going to say it how we see it in the tackle shop, that it's we had a very strong start to when it opened, and you were down there the same day as I, a couple of days before the official opening, doing a bit of filming, and we did pretty well that day. There's been a lot of people that haven't had that success, you know, and I think there's probably a lot of people that are new to barramundi fishing. They only get one day in the ballot to try it. And I don't know, good mate Will Minson from the Western Bulldogs, you know, he went down with the fly rods with a few mates. They didn't even see a fish, you know. So people need that opportunity, I feel, to get back, do it a second, do a third time, do a fourth time, try different techniques, different lures, things like that. So now the ballot, I'll let you announce a few things because, and I know it's already been announced, but we're back on air now.
Yeah.
It's a free-for-all coming up pretty soon, isn't it?
Well, it is, and you know, we've given people a go.
Yeah.
We've tried to be as fair as possible, and we've had a couple of thousand boat permits issued, and probably 5,000 people have been out there. And you're right, not everyone's caught a fish, but most people have really had the thrill of trying to catch a barra, and those that have caught them have been just delighted.
Yeah.
But that's all about to change. You're right. We'll remove the ballot from the end of February. So from the 1st of March, you won't need a ballot to fish a boat in Hazelwood, and it'll be terrific.
Yep. Now, all those people that are watching tonight on Valentine's Day, and good luck to you if you're getting away with watching Talking Fishing on Valentine's Day. That means there's 16 days, have I got my maths right? 16 days left in February. Now, you're going to offer 100 boat ballots for the rest of February on weekdays, am I correct?
Well, mainly weekdays. We've got a few spots on weekends. But we've had the situation where a lot of people have been interested, but we can't meet their time frames. They can't get the days off work, and it hasn't aligned. So we've got a lot of people that have either pulled out or just said, look, we can't do it. So that's left us with some spots, basically. And what we're saying is that if you give us send us an email at improving.fishing at ecodev.com.au, the first 100 people... Or
.vic.gov.au.
Sorry,
I know you work for the government.
Sorry, Well, use that email address.
Yeah, we'll put it up on social media tomorrow morning, first thing. So, but it's improving.fishing, am I right?
Yep.
Improving.fishing at ECODEV, EcoDev, which is economic development.
Correct.
.vic.gov.au. First 100 people to email that in the morning or whenever, either they can do it now on their phone, and you'll get a go in the ballot for the rest of the month of February.
Yeah, and we'll follow up with a call to make sure you get the right date that suits you. So get out in the water and catch a barra. It'd be great.
Now, Anthony, you said to me when you walked in to the studio, have you been down to Hazelwood again? And I said no, because the options this time of year are just fantastic with the kingfish, the whiting, all the other stuff we're doing in the salt water. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people we talk to are going, I'm just enjoying everything else that we do. But the barra, I think, will come back, come probably end of March, and people go, okay, I've got got my whiting in the freezer, or I've got my kingies, or I've done a mako shark or whatever. That's people are going to get back into the barramundi fishing, and that place is going to fire. And I mean, don't forget, every day those fish are growing. They're eating machines. There's that much bait in there. When they get to 70, 80 centimetres, that place is going to go off.
Yeah, and you're right, it has been patchy recently, but geez, there's been some good fish caught as well. I was talking to Will from Always Angling at Traralgon, and he was telling me that the latest technique is poppers just before and after, in the low light conditions, before dusk and just on evening. And he had this fantastic story of one of his local guys went down. They hadn't fished much before. Second cast off the boat ramp, 65 centimetre barramundi on a surface popper.
That's fantastic.
And he said, "How easy is this?"
That's so good.
And he went back the next day and bought a $400, $500 outfit, and he's hooked for life.
Yeah.
So there's lots of those stories behind it.
Yeah. Do you know anyone that's kept one and eaten one?
I don't.
Neither do I.
No, I think a lot of people let them go.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard any reports of how they do it.
So imagine if there's still 5,000 in there, and they're all 55 centimetres now, and they all get to 70 or 80. What a fishery have we got?
That's right.
It is going to be amazing. So,
were you surprised to see the Aussie bass as well? We were.
Well, a little bit actually, because we stocked them in 2003 and we hadn't heard much of them since.
Yeah.
But then again, we hadn't had that sort of fishing pressure.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
It's telling us that they live, they survive, they grow.
It's a big lake too. I mean, people that haven't seen it, I think we've got a nice aerial shot of Hazelwood. I mean, it's a big lake. Get down there with your boat, and I'm sure there's been plenty of water skiers on there, during January, but that will peter off now. And there's some fantastic waterways there. That are just, you got to sound the fish. That's the key, I reckon, is sound the fish and then either troll or cast to them. So
that's right.
Come and chat to us in the tackle shop. Look, we've had some good days on there, and a lot of our staff have too.
Definitely.
So come and have a chat to us, and we'll tell you how to fish Hazelwood and get into that ballot. You can fish between now and the end of February, or come March. It's open sleigh. They just get down there any time you want, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty damn popular when that happens. Up next, fisheries news, and we discuss fishing in Albert Park Lake. Next on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing.
Good morning, spotters. Stephanie speaking.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Live from the studios of Channel 31 Melbourne, it's now time for some very fishy news.
Now, plenty of news, but just before we go to the news, Archie on Facebook writes to us, we play a drinking game while watching your show every week. You guys mention Hazelwood or Tolondo. They have a shot of grappa, and I think they're up to 7 shots each already, boys.
So we've just spoken a little bit about Hazelwood, and we know Hazelwood's going to close down.
Yeah.
So are there any plans to stock barramundi into Tolondo? Do you reckon that'll work? Because Hazelwood's going to end.
Hang on, the boys are going to, if you say those 2 words again, they're going to be blind. They're probably going to call an ambulance.
At the end of the show, have fun with that one, Archie.
Tolondo.
That's on us.
Yeah,
there you go. All right, let's get into the news. And there's nothing about Hazelwood or Tolondo. This one, media release. Canadian Bay abalone theft is the headline. 2 men from the Mornington Peninsula have been intercepted by fisheries officers with a large quantity of abalone at Canadian Bay in Mount Eliza. Acting Regional Supervising Fisheries Officer Mark Asplin said it will be alleged that the 2 men were apprehended with 190 abalone. Is that ridiculous or what?
Why would you
of
bother?
which 188 were under the legal size limit of 10 centimetres for Port Phillip Bay. What? And does that not decimate the population at Canadian Bay? I mean,
What?
that is bad.
Why would you?
That is
Seriously.
bad. I don't know. It went on to say neither man was found to have a recreational fishing licence when asked by officers, and a search of their vehicle uncovered scales, which it could be alleged were to be used to weigh the abalone prior to illegal sale. Mr. Applin said all of the equipment was seized and the men will be summoned to appear in court at a later date to face charges. So,
So
yeah,
they
and
get a
look,
bit
they
of
could be facing up to 50 grand each. You know, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
Why
not
they
worth
do
it.
it? I mean, I don't get it. Just to remind everyone, the open days for abalone fishing in central Victorian waters for the remainder of this season include all weekends and public holidays through to 30th of April 2017. So you can go any weekend, you can go any public holiday. Any time out of that, don't do it. And particularly don't do it in the middle of the night, getting 180.
And they do have a
you'll
size
get
and a
caught.
bag limit, so just
Yeah.
remember that, will you?
The little measuring things, I think, are for free, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
Like, just, anyway. These guys obviously didn't give a damn about it anyway, so
No.
you're never going to stop them. Well, you did stop them. Well done. Second one, Loddon River fish going with the flow is the headline here. Large-bodied native fish such as Murray cod in the Loddon River are being fitted with acoustic tags as part of a new monitoring program investigating fish responses to environmental flow deliveries across Victoria. The Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning's Arthur Ryler Institute, in conjunction with the North Central Catchment Management Authority, are conducting the monitoring as part of the Victorian Environmental Flows Monitoring and Assessment Program to see how fish respond to the environmental water releases along our rivers. And sometimes environmental flows can be quite contentious, and people are saying, what does that do to the fishing and all that sort of stuff? So at least they're doing a bit of science around that.
Oh, they
It's
are.
pretty good, isn't it?
They are, and our native fish need all help they can get. And,
Yeah.
and environmental flows, done the right way, are really quite productive.
Yeah.
They can make a big difference.
Well, it says here the research project will track the response of Murray cod and golden perch to environmental flows using acoustic tags implanted in the fish. ARI researchers have been out on the Loddon River tagging fish in preparation for the environmental flows expected to be released in autumn. So they're all ready to go. The health of our rivers is increasingly reliant on the release of environmental flows, and we will track the movements of fish when an environmental flow is released into the Loddon River. The findings of this research may inform the timing and level of future environmental water releases to give the greatest possible benefit to our environment and potentially improving fishing opportunities. That's only a good thing, isn't it?
And Dave, one of the things I was talking to our colleagues about this the other day, one of the good things they're trying to do is push flow down to attract fish up. So they'll draw the fish from the Murray River, who will sense that flow and then push right up into it.
Yep.
So we're not necessarily creating more fish, but we'll drive them up, and that'll be good for fishers.
There you go. The next one, this is an unusual one. Pippies have been tagged in an Australian research
So I
first.
shouldn't laugh, but
Yeah,
Imagine
I said it
someone
right.
tagged Pippi.
Pippies have been tagged. Don't worry about that. This is a serious news item. In an Australian first, pippies are being tagged to better understand their short and long-term movement patterns in a project funded by recreational fishing licence fees. Acting director, before Trav came back from holidays, was Dallas, and he said scientists from the University of Melbourne have tagged 2,000 pippies at Venus Bay. Every one of the 2,000 pippies has been individually numbered with a small plastic tag glued to their shell.
you know what? In all seriousness, I laughed when you said that, but isn't this just the absolute epitome of how serious Fisheries Victoria are about finding out how to manage all aspects of our fishery? It's not just about rod and reel. There's so much goodness in our waters, and it's great that everyone's getting amongst it, and it's great that we're trying to understand more about it.
I think we've got a photo of a tagged pippi, so just for those people at home going, what the hell? Well, there you go. There's a tagged
There you
pippi.
go.
Little plastic tag. And this says, while we're watching that, we'd like anyone who finds a tagged pippi to record the tag colour and number, along with the location, date and time of capture. That information will help scientists map movement patterns and understand much more about the little bivalve shellfish, which is valued by anglers for bait and by multicultural communities for eating. I must be one of those from the multicultural communities because I love eating in a pasta.
And please report those findings because it's so important. It doesn't seem like a big thing, but all this effort, time and money is going into just finding out about every aspect of our fishery and how to protect it so we can all enjoy it for a long time.
Yeah. I wonder how far they do move. I'd like to see the research findings.
Yeah, I'm interested to know as well. I'm not sure it'd be a long way, but it could be significant. Yeah.
But those guys who commercially harvest them for bait say that you can go to a beach and they're there, and then the next minute they're not. They do move.
Yeah, they must move.
God knows how and whatever, but they move. So, a couple of competitions we just wanted to mention as well coming up. The Thorpedale and District Angling Club have a big competition on this week at Blue Rock Lake. Isn't that getting used well? Yeah. That was a no-brainer, Anthony. Wasn't it? Just a great news story. It's on this weekend, February 18th and 19th, Blue Rock Lake, the North Barbecue area. Times 12 o'clock on Saturday through till 12 o'clock on Sunday. There's a presentation on Sunday at 1 o'clock. It costs $20 per person or $30 if you want to join the membership of the club, and you get a brag mat. All entries need to be in by 4 p.m. on Saturday. So if you want to just rock up, I know it's going to rain on the weekend. Good place to go when it's raining.
Fish don't mind.
No, they don't, and it's a great place. If you catch the biggest bass, you'll get $200, and for junior, $100 rod and reel combo. It's a great little and a great club. Thanks to Dave Johnson from down there. And the next one, very quickly, the 28th Annual Amateur Western Port Whiting Challenge 2017 is on Saturday 4th and Sunday the 5th of March. In a few weeks' time, you can win yourself an $8,000 boat, plenty of other prizes. You could get $1,000 out of Paul Worsing's wallet.
That's right.
And it's got moths all over it, probably dust everywhere. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to have the privilege because I'm actually doing the presentation at the Western Port Whiting Challenge. I'm giving out all the trophies, and I would dearly love to give someone $1,000 for getting the first person to weigh in a 1 kilo King George whiting. So there you go. That's the Western Port Whiting Challenge. Entry forms are in all good tackle shops or on their website, wpac.com.au, which stands for Western Port Angling Club. There you go. Up next, Kramer's Mailbag, and we ask Anthony about the top 3 freshwater fishing destinations in Victoria, next on Talking Fishing.
Talking Fishing.
Make mine a Mornington.
G'day, David Kramer here. I'm a massive fan of the Mazda BT50, having personally driven and owned one for more than 5 years now. And to tell you what, you can't beat them for an all-round great ute and a great tow vehicle. Get into Mornington Mazda before the end of the month and grab yourself a run-out bargain. I made mine a Mornington Mazda.
Make mine a Mornington Mazda.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
And a little bit of mailbag, I want to fly through it because I've got some questions for you, Anthony, that I haven't asked you about Albert Park Lake because we ran out. I want to ask you about your favourite and most productive freshwater fishing destination. So just put the think tank on, but let's get into the mailbag. Hi David, my name is Yanni and I've been fishing Port Phillip Bay for some time now. I have a decent 5.4 metre kingfisher runabout, but I've been unlucky in catching fish. I seem to do it very hard. Last year I had one good afternoon and caught 38 King George whiting at St Leonard's, but nothing after that. I've caught squid and only 4 on average. I want to catch a kingfish and a decent snapper. What advice can you give me as I'm very frustrated? Well, Yanni, hours. Put in the hours, that's all I can say. I mean, I've had 5 trips down to the Rip this season and only one day have we got kingfish. Now we got them, and you know, we landed 7, we dropped 10. I've got plenty of kingfish in the freezer, but that was 1 in 5. You know, so you've got to put the hours in. If you don't put the hours in, you don't get. You know, you always see the photos. I love the photos with the King George whiting on the end of the fingers, and you know, yes, I'd catch some good King George whiting. I've had a few sessions where I've got nothing. You know, we went there 2 Saturdays ago to this little spot I've been fishing, and got absolutely nothing. Not even any bycatch on the Saturday. I went there on the Sunday, and it took 10 seconds to get the first 40 centimetre King George whiting, and within an hour we had 11 and we had to go home. So it's fishing. That's why they don't call it catching, because
is it Yanni?
Yanni.
You know
so
what?
put the time in. That's you know, every day's different.
And if you need a bit of advice, Yanni, just give your local tackle world a call. any of us, whether it's Cranbourne, Mornington, any others around, more than happy to put you in the right direction.
Yeah.
But Dave's right. Hours mean fish because you learn, constantly learning. It's a good thing with fishing. We've been doing it for a long time. We're still learning every time we go out there. So put the hours in, pay attention to the small things, and ask plenty of questions.
Absolutely, and we might even shoot you a couple of GPS marks tomorrow, Yanni, on the text message or the email. Let's keep going along. Hey, Kramer, how do you target cuttlefish? When?
The $1 million question.
Where, when, how? We get them as bycatch, but we never target them. From Richie in Geelong. Well, good question. I'm still learning too, but I've got to say, I thought I'd cracked a code, and my last 2 trips have been 14 and 8, so I think I'm doing all right. But that's 2 trips. Is that a test that I've actually cracked the code? Well, I don't know. Give me another 5 trips under my belt, and we'll see. But if I can give anyone some tips. Fish a bit deeper than calamari. So, most people would fish maybe 3 to 5 metres for calamari. Fishing 10 metres. And I'm using a 30 to 50 gram squid jig, so a very, very heavy weight. I've tried paternosters, I've tried ball sinkers on a standard weight squid jig. I just haven't found that action good enough, so I'm using a very heavy squid jig. I'm actually bouncing it along the bottom. So, and when I lift that rod tip, I'm only lifting it like that. Seriously, that's slow, and I'm lifting it a foot at the most. I think they're lazy.
Yeah.
So
That's
you're
right.
fishing that far off the bottom, and yes, you're going to get a little bit of weed, but they don't tend to mind the weed on your hooks compared to a calamari. And very slowly lifting it 1 foot off. You need a bit of a drift so you're covering ground. But anyway, there's some hints. Let me test it out another 5 times, and I'll tell you if I'm all right at it or not. Thanks for that, Richie. And the next one, hi boys, Gaz here from Mordialloc. Probably should have read this one out last week anyway. Gaz here from Mordialloc. I want to get the missus a Valentine's Day present with a fishing theme to it. What do you suggest? Well, if he hasn't bought it by now, he's probably in deep.
Sorry, Gaz.
Deep, he's forgotten all about it. But ads, what do we got for women? If he wants to tomorrow, if he wants to buy his missus a Valentine's Day present with a fishing theme, what would you get her?
Oh, there's plenty of pink rods and reels if that's her thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know what? Get her own tackle box. Pick her a selection of good lures, not the pus that you don't want to use in the bottom of your one. Buy her some good lures. Nice, present it nicely, a little bow around the top. You can get pink tackle boxes. You can get all sorts of things. Think outside the square.
You can also get some very nice looking squid jigs with a bit of pink on them.
There you go.
And quite often, give them to the ladies, they'll outfish you, I tell you. So there you go. That's Kramer's
Sorry, Gaz, I hope you got them in time.
Get them tomorrow. Should be right, mate.
Should be right.
If you're allowed to watch Talking Fishing tonight, I reckon you're probably in the bad books anyway. If you'd like to write into Kramer's mailbag, this is what you do.
Send your mail to Kramer's Mailbag, PO Box 734, Patterson Lakes, Victoria 3197, or email kramer@ifish.com.au.
Now we're going to pick Anthony's brain now. Anthony, you've been known to fish Albert Park Lake, right in the heart of Melbourne. What species are in there? How are they travelling? And how do you fish it?
Well, it's a bit of an oasis, David, really, and it doesn't get a lot of credit. It's famous for other things, but there's some really good fishing to be had in it, no question. We've been stocking it with golden perch for a number of years, about 5,000 a year going in.
How many years do you think?
Oh, it's been on and off, but probably about 12 years, I think.
Oh, well, that's a few.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, they're not every year, but you know, generally 5,000 a year.
Yeah.
We've also, for the last couple of years, put estuary perch in there, 10,000 per year for at least 2 years, 3 years. And they're starting to come through as well. So it's quite a good little fishery. Add to that, we're stocking 3,000 rainbow trout, ready to catch rainbow trout, in the school holidays on 3 occasions through the year. So for the average family of people that want to get connected to fish with their kids, great spot. Because you've got picnics, you've got barbecues, and you know, it's got all those features.
That's right.
And it's a great little fishery.
Can you fish all of it? There's no...
Well, no, you can't. There are designated fishing areas, and there are areas that people fish.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of both. The thing about Albert Park Lake, it's got a lot of weed cover. A lot of weed cover. So get your lures up high and think about that. You know, spinnerbaits work pretty well for golden perch.
Yeah, okay.
And get, for the estuary perch, can maybe come up on top of the surface, poppers in the evening and that sort of stuff. And with trout, I'd fish with power bait every time.
That's cool.
There you
That's
go.
really cool.
time of day, is there a certain time of day you'd fish?
Well, I'd avoid the peak hour because getting there is crazy. But I'd fish in the evening. I think evening generally works best. Things quieten down. Yeah, there's not much boat activity, and the rowers are finished for the day. So,
what's your best fish out of Albert Park Lake?
I actually landed a rainbow that was 1.5 kilos. Doesn't sound like a big fish, but it was very, very plump, and it survived through summer. Yeah, and it was a magnificent looking fish. Yeah, but I have caught golden perch to 4.5 kilos.
So there's big fish in there.
Thank you very much.
Fish in there.
Yeah, and
they're good fish.
And they're scary fish. Like they're so big and deep. Yeah, the golden perch are really really productive.
What'd you catch that on? Your biggest one?
On a homemade spinnerbait.
There you go. Sneaky fisho, this bloke, I can tell you. Sneaky fisho. He does a good job too. So, just to change the subject, there is a very big King George Whiting talk night coming up very, very shortly. It's on Wednesday, the 1st of March. It's at Mornington Mazda showroom. 6:30, if you can arrive at 6:30 for pizza and drinks. 7 o'clock the talk starts. $10 covers pizza and drinks. You must reserve your seat. This is going to be a very popular talk night. So you need to call Tackle World Cranbourne or Mornington tomorrow to reserve your seat. Greg Jenkins, Professor Greg Jenkins. What he doesn't know about King George Whiting isn't worth knowing. He's going to tell you about movement patterns, spawning, what the season's going to be like in coming years. He's going to talk about his tagging program because he's got blokes like 98-year-old Don Newman tagging whiting now and then finding where they go. Then the panel hits the stage. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I'm going to be joined by two experts. Sean Ferdier from Think Big Fishing Charters and Captain Steve Johnson from Ace Fishing Charters. The three of us are going to up there. Adam, you're emceeing. You're going to pick our brains and try and find out everything we know about King George.
I'm trying to find some curveballs for you boys. I'm going to make it work for it this year.
There you go. All right, looking forward to it. It's a big day, and I was just checking that date today on my calendar to just make sure I was right before we put the big ad out, and I've got an operation during the day, so hopefully I'm all right because I'll have been knocked out during the day. Can't believe I double booked myself. But anyway, it's going to be a big night. Book tomorrow because seats will go very, very quickly. Coming up next, this week's Hotspots. See you soon on Talking Fishing.
Talking Fishing.
G'day, Callan here from Paul Worslam's Tackle World Cranbourne. Supercharged batteries have been supplying maintenance-free marine batteries since 2001. The Seamaster Gold range is second to none, delivering superior starting power and reserve capacity. No need to top up with water, truly a fit and forget battery. With up to 2 years replacement warranty, you know you have quality. Your battery is your lifeline. Without it, you're dead in the water because it's bloody hard to push start. I've got a Seamaster battery in my boat. Make yours a Seamaster Gold today.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Hello, Richie Minnow here. It's now time for this week's Fishing Hotspots on Talking Fishing. Marvellous.
And all the hotspots might be a little bit cooler this weekend. A little bit of rain forecast for the weekend, boys, but doesn't matter. You can still get out on the water if it's raining. Just find yourself a nice little cove or somewhere, and plenty of good spots that we can tell you about that are fishing quite well. And number one is St Leonard's for King George Whiting, boys.
We could almost put it every week, couldn't we?
Oh, well, you could. Absolutely on fire. And particularly if you get a bit of a west in the wind, it's quite protected over that side of the bay, and just sensational for King George Whiting at the moment.
Generally, you're fishing within stone's throw of the beach.
Yeah,
not that far
don't
out.
go far. 2 minutes.
Shallow water.
Yeah, 3-4 metres. Yeah, you don't have to go far.
Perfect.
So I mean, there are some places. Quite often you can get 200-300 boats off St Leonard's, so you can go a bit further out and escape the crowds. There's a couple of patches you can head down a bit more towards Queenscliff. There's always somewhere to fish down that way.
The cuttlefish theory go down there.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's just a matter. It's just there's plenty of calamari at St Leonard's. It's just a matter of trying that technique. That bottom 1 foot off the bottom.
Yep. 10 metres, 8 to 10 metres of water.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Got to work. Yeah, absolutely. A fishery that's been on fire for the past week, and I know the locals won't like us talking about it, but Frankston Pier is absolutely on fire.
The salmon went absolutely ballistic over the last 3 days. The locals sat it out in the worst weather possible, but they all had bags and bags and bags of salmon, varying everywhere from your typical 200-300 grams all the way through to kilo and a half. It's just potluck, but there was plenty of it.
Did I hear a little rumour that there was some kings underneath them?
Yep.
Yep.
I spoke to a local this morning actually who said he saw a couple of yellow tails. So get creative because the salmon really do outnumber the kings. You're going to get gars. Keep a couple alive, just have one of them sitting out there because even if a salmon takes a live gar, it's going to be an absolute monster and worth catching.
Yeah.
Have that livey sitting out there because you never know, and the kings are prone to sitting under salmon schools.
There you go. Another spot which is great to get out of the wind and not the rain but the wind is Warneet up the top end of Western Port. Can be quite good even if you sit in the channel on a high tide at the start of the run out. Can be quite good in that channel there and
Pinkies a school up in there.
Yeah, and beautiful King George Whiting coming down. We've got Callan on the show next week and he's
a top end
that's one of his favourite spots is the Warneet channel. So get to Warneet if it's blowing a bit of north or a bit of west. Actually, in fact, it doesn't really matter as long as it's not blowing true south. It's a great little spot to fish. Sandy Point is another one round near Balnarring. Plenty of west in the wind will be fine there because you can get right in close there. And if it's not blowing too hard, you can get out a little bit deeper off Sandy Point. But you can fish shallow or deep there. And there's some cracker King George Whiting.
King George Whiting, the gummies are moving quite close there too. I remember we used to fish down there a little bit off the beach of a night time and get a few gumbos. So always something to do down that neck of the woods.
Let's head to the west of the state and there's some plenty of southern bluefin tuna moving into some of the very close inshore towns like Port Fairy. Now, Port Fairy, a beautiful little town. If you never stay there, so many people go past and go to Portland. Port Fairy is a beautiful little fishing village, some beautiful accommodation there, and you won't be going far to find tuna.
Nope.
Not at all.
They're in very close. The kingfish will mix in, so keep an eye out, but tuna are the number one species.
And last but not least, and we'll rush through this because we've got some things to pick your brain about, Anthony, Marlow Reef. If you're heading down that way towards... what am I thinking of? Malakuta, down that way.
Dippy,
you try and spend a day or two off Marlow Reef. Just
Poppers
a fantastic.
or live squid. Just do it.
Big kingfish.
Big kings.
Craig Ingram will hate us talking about that place. There you go. Bad luck, Craig. All right, there you go. That's the hotspots, boys. Anthony.
Here we go. The real stuff.
Yep.
I'm paying attention.
What are the three? In your eyes, the three most productive freshwater fishing destinations in Victoria right now?
Well, right now is the key because it'll all change, of course.
I want to know right now.
Look, I've had a tip from my guys, the guys I work with, JD and Taylor, who have had a few days off.
Sneaky fishers like you.
They snuck away. They went to Lake Purrumbete. They absolutely brained the redfin.
Yeah.
And they tell me they caught up to 200 redfin in one session.
Wow.
Using micro jigs and soft plastics between 5 and 9 metres and one after another, and they were between 20 and 40 centimetres. So the size of the redfin in Purrumbete is getting better and better.
Yeah.
And they got a terrific feed out of it.
Yeah,
really
there you go. Yeah.
And they were really impressed. They're going back.
Yeah. Purrumbete redfin, number two.
Nice.
Number two, I'd say Lake Ngambie. Coming of age as a fishery, we've put probably 1.5 million fish in there over the last 10 years, and it's just starting to kick.
And Ngambie is where? How do you get to it?
Ngambie's an hour and a half north of Melbourne.
Yep.
On the way to Shepparton, you turn off. It's terrific water because it's got some huge backwaters. It's got 1,200 hectares of shallow backwaters. It's like a Mulwala, it really is.
Yep.
It's got terrific structure, lots of wood. It's got the Goulburn River flowing through it, and it's just alive with fish at the moment.
Yeah.
It's really good. And spinnerbaits.
So cod and yellow belly?
Cod and yellows, absolutely. Yeah. They're even getting some redfin coming back now.
Yeah.
I was talking to Wally Coven, who's a terrific character up there, and he said they had a competition recently. They caught 200 fish in one competition in one weekend.
Wow.
And really good fishing amongst them.
Yep.
So it's a good kept secret, that one.
Yep. Number three.
Top
destination Victoria for freshwater fishing.
Just to share it around, I'd reckon you can't go past the Goulburn River tail race fishery.
Yeah.
Gilmore's Bridge through there.
Yeah.
Right through to Molesworth. At the moment, it's flowing about 2,500 to 3,000 megs a day.
Yeah.
It's high, but not too high.
Wadeable?
Wadeable, yeah. And there's some of the backwaters are coming in as well.
Yeah.
But there's some really good fish in there. We stock 10,000 brown trout a year in there as well.
Yeah.
We've done surveys, and it's the most popular freshwater fishery by a country mile in Victoria. And it just keeps producing good quality trout.
Can people expect to catch a 50-50 brown rainbow now?
They can, absolutely, yeah. And it changes every year.
Yeah.
The good thing about that fishery is it's typically between 9 and 16 degrees every year.
Yeah.
Always in the zone where the trout are going to grow fast. So that it produces a better quality fish all round.
Yeah.
So that would be a good one.
And what's the best technique there?
Well, it's such a good fishery. I mean, it's a mecca fly fishery for the guys that really try. And this time of year, dry flies up the top in the evening when there's a hatch. But also, just walking the banks, throwing rapalas and selters and other diving lures, minnows and soft plastics are all good. Yeah, great little fishery. And it will continue to be a good fishery.
I've always wondered, you might be able to tell me, you're probably the man to tell me, where does the Goulburn transform from a trout fishery to a native fishery? Is there a boundary?
Well,
do they mix?
It is difficult because we find that the trout even push down way down past, Lake Ngambie on occasions, But look, the general feeling is Molesworth's about it.
Yeah, okay.
You do catch fish from Molesworth through to Trewool and in other locations. You tend to get a better class of trout, but generally the better fishing is up toward the Eildon area. Thornton's probably the heart and centre of it.
Yeah, and does the water temperature change around that area? Is that what creates the border from trout to natives?
Yeah, I think two things are happening. The temperature's cooler up there, which is in the optimal zone, but as it goes further downstream, the water clarity diminishes a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So I think those two things work together.
Yeah, there you go.
Really great fishery.
Yeah. What are the boys at Snobs Creek doing at the moment? What are they delivering to the lakes around Victoria?
They are so flat out. I mean, they are doing, thousands of kilometres a week, travelling around, picking up golden perch, yellow belly. We just stocked some trout cod recently.
Yep.
We just put 170,000 golden perch into Lake Ngambie and another 50,000. So they are absolutely flat out at the moment. They've got new trucks and they're spending a lot of time on the road.
Yeah, so it's native season.
Native season, absolutely. Yeah. We finished our bass and our estuary perch recently.
Yeah. And
now we're on to the Murray-Darling fish.
Yep. Anthony, thanks for coming in once again.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. Always a wealth of knowledge. Anthony Forster, the manager for freshwater fisheries in Victoria, and always a wealth of knowledge. We just wanted to pick his brain a little bit. I know we didn't talk about too much fishery stuff, but we just talked about picking his brain because we know he's a good fisherman, and one of the sneaky ones, there's a few of them at fisheries that, you're pretty good fisherman. We see your social media pages, Anthony, and we see some pretty good fish. That's it for Talking Fishing. We hope you enjoyed the show. Next week is a pre-recorded show as Adam, Trelly and I head overseas to Tasmania for some secret men's business. And for you guys sitting at home right now, having just enjoyed watching us for the last hour, turn the TV off. Go enjoy the rest of your night with your Valentine, if she's still talking to you. Until we see you again next Tuesday on Talking Fishing, please stay safe on the water and enjoy your fishing.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. We got all you need, just take a look. Watch those fish jump on your hook. So just relax and take your time. Enjoy the show, then drop us a line. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. Talking fishing.
Have a good weekend, Mr. Walker.
You too, son.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, talking fishing. If it's facts about fishing that you want to know, then tune in, folks, cause this is the show. We'll show you all the right bait to use, so sit right back, you got nothing to lose. Doesn't really matter if it's trout or carp, flathead, marlin or a gummy shark. Listen to the guys and you can't go wrong. They'll be talking about fishing till the cows come home. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Welcome everyone to Talking Fishing, a big show coming your way tonight. We are joined in the studio by a special guest from Fisheries Victoria. We're going to be talking Barra in Hazelwood, fishing Albert Park Lake. We take a look at a brand new release of fishing reels by Shimano, all that and plenty more. So let's get into it with a big welcome to the man who travels by kayak Adam Ring, welcome, Ads.
Thanks, Dave. I just had a quick peek at the run sheet, and we're going to run out of time. What a show!
Big. I know, it's big. Trelly's not here, we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's also a very big welcome to our special guest tonight. Anthony Forster is the manager of freshwater fisheries for Fisheries Victoria. He's no stranger to talking fishing. Welcome back, Anthony.
Thanks, David. Great to be here.
Bit of a regular every year. You get to do.
I think it's my third time.
Is it? There you go.
I think so.
Done more shows than Trelly.
And I'm counting.
This year, anyway. The old Trelly, I tell you what, he's off at Guns N' Roses tonight at the MCG. He'll be bopping away. He said he's going to send us some live pics, so we'll see if we can hold the phone up and show you what he's up to. But although they might need to be edited because God knows what Trelly gets up to at the Guns N' Roses concert. But boys, bit of cooler weather's hit us, hasn't it?
Bit of an unpleasant change. As I say, the weather on the weekends has gone back to what we saw before Christmas, but short-lived. Let's just hopefully, I know the weekend coming, it's not looking great, but let it get out of the way and give us a good roll into Easter.
Exactly. I was at the Bruce Springsteen concert on Saturday night, and lucky I took the spray jacket because we copped a couple of big showers, I tell you, and just had to put the spray jacket on. But what a great concert!
Well, we know it was a great concert because we got a few photos, and we've taken the chance to just run a little slideshow. So Kev, just hit us with a bit of David Kramer at Bruce Springsteen. This is about the 607th time that Dave's seen Bruce, and as good as the first time you ever saw him. I tell you what, he still rocks out just as hard, I must say.
I first saw him 1984.
Do you know how old I was in '84? Oh, look at that! Just ran into a few people you know down there.
I'm going to tell a story about this. Let's just see what you blokes have got lined up, I tell you. Someone's been hacking into my photos.
Just before you launch in, though, if only Bruce knew the dedication he has in some of his fans like you, Dave. Now, we found another couple of photos, which I know you had a little bit of a warm-up at the Christmas party last year. So David Kramerstein hit the stand, and he was all over the tables. He had guitars, he had brooms, he had whatever he could find. He was just having a good old time. I now know where Bruce learnt his moves, Dave.
Oh, there you go. Thanks for that. Geez, someone has been hacking into my photos, I tell you what. But just a very quick, funny story before we go to Catch of the Week is that I'm at Bruce Springsteen. I didn't even know, but I'm 10 foot away from the minister, Jala Pulford, and she's sitting next to a bloke who I thought was probably her husband or something like that. And it later turned. So I'm walking past. Oh, Kramer, you know, we have to do all the photos and all that. And Jala tells me later on. She said, I sit next to this bloke at the concert, and he looks at her and he goes, "You're the chick off talking fishing." That's how you describe the Minister for Fisheries. You're the chick off talking fishing.
There you go.
10 minutes later, I walk past. I tell you what, it's a small world. But anyway, boys, let's have a look at what's being caught by the people at home. It's time for Catch of the Week.
Catch of the Week, brought to you by Shimano, providing reliable, trustworthy, quality fishing gear for your enjoyment.
And let's get into it straight away because there's some cracker fish.
Yeah,
there's a couple of little ones getting around too. The nice pinky population is certainly on fire. Let's have a look at the first one, which is a pinky snapper. Ethan Loncarrick, I think is the way to pronounce Ethan's last name, and a lovely little pinky off Port Arlington. But people are saying when they're whiting fishing this time of year, the pinkies are prolific, aren't they? It's just a great time of year for them.
And perfect for the kids because they'll school up nice big numbers. You can generally catch quite a few if you sound over them. And if you're not one of the kids, if you want to catch your first fish on a soft plastic, if you want to jig for them, now's the time because these small pinkies, perfect pan size, will school up. You can catch them quite easily, and it's loads of fun.
Yeah. The other thing is good on whiting gear because a lot of people are getting them as a bycatch on whiting gear, so they pull like a steam train. And even if they're only 15 centimetres, goddamn pinky. But anyway, all right, let's head down to Rill now. And young Alex McIntosh. Alex actually wrote to us himself on the email and said, I caught my first gummy